Hi Rasmus users. Today we're going to be talking about setting up treatment plan report templates for your organization. Before we jump in, I'm going to go through just a couple of things that you'll want to have set up prior to putting together your report template. So the first thing we're going to talk about are client data fields. For client data fields, what this will look like is once you have these set up, you'll go to a client and on their information tab, you'll be able to see all of the custom data fields that you have set up. Any of these fields can be pulled into a report. So you can see here things like diagnosis date, general information, reason for referral, allergies, even the caregiver name, other therapies. All of these we can create from scratch. They'll be added here to the information tab for every single client. And then you can fill them out and maintain them here on the client's profile and then pull them into any of your report templates. So to set these up, all you'll do is go to organization, client data, and from there you can add a data field or edit an existing one. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about are just some important pieces for categorizing and organizing programs within the treatment plan. So the first thing I want to talk about is the tags. So under programs, tags, we can see a list of tags that are set up for this organization. You'll come with some out-of-the-box ones that you can edit or add more at any time. And what you'll do is you'll add these to your client programs, and this will allow you to pull these tags into specific sections within your report. Otherwise, if you add a treatment progress section within your report template, all of those programs for that learner will pull into that specific section of the report. So for example, if you want to have a behavior reduction section for only behavior reduction programs in your treatment plan, then you need to make sure that you have a behavior reduction tag and you are tagging your programs with the behavior reduction tag. So this is your list of tags, and then you can assign them to the learner's programs by going to programs. You can check off the programs that you want to add the tags to and do that right there, or within the specific program itself. On the instructions page, you can add any tags that you want. You can add as many tags as you want to a program. There's no limit. But just know that it has to have a tag if you want to be able to pull it into that specific section within a report. Last thing is program data fields. So program data fields can also be added to a program and then pulled into a report. So there's not some examples right here, but if you go into programs and we click into a program and we go to the treatment tab, if we had any specific program data fields set up, such as rationale, that's an example that some people will add, that would show up right here. Next thing is the treatment areas. So treatment areas, you can see we have this added to a program as well. If we go to treatment plans, treatment areas, we can set up treatment areas, and this is really just an organization tool. You can add subcategories or domains or sub areas, whatever you want to call them. You can change what you call them. And we can add a treatment area and then a sub area to every single program. And then if we have a bunch of programs within a particular section in your report, it will categorize them by those treatment areas. So that's another way of just organizing your reports and making sure that they are nice and clean. So again, you'll go to programs, click a program, click the treatment tab. Once you have treatment areas added, it'll show up for you right here to be able to assign the area and then the domain or sub area, whatever you want to call it. So let's talk about actually creating your treatment plan reports, your templates. So to do this, you'll go to settings, you'll go to treatment plans, and you'll go to report templates. To start one from scratch, you'll select add report template. We can start from a blank template if we want, or you actually will have a preset initial treatment plan sample added. This has not been reviewed as compliant by payers or anything like that. So you will just want to make sure that whoever this report is for, that it meets their criteria. But this is just a nice place to get started and to show you kind of the different sections that you can add to a report template. If you have an existing one, you can also duplicate it, which is really nice. So we're just going to start with this initial treatment plan sample. And we're going to just use that to kind of talk about all the different bells and whistles on our report templates. So first thing I want to show you is the layout. With the layout button, you can add a header and a footer to your report. So this will show up when you export it. Every page will have this header and have this footer. A couple quick things to point out. So on a page header, you can add an image. So most people will add a logo. You'll want to make sure that you use the insert image feature here. Do not copy and paste an image. What tends to happen is sometimes those images are unsupported. If you copy and paste, you'll get no notification. You will not know that it's not a supported image until you go to export it, and then you'll get frustrated because it won't export. So use insert image in order to put a logo or an image file into that header. You can add any text you want, and you also can add those dynamic fields that we talked about. So we have some report fields that you can add, so you can set the current page and the page count. So a lot of people will do like the current page out of, let's say, the total count. So that will show you like this is page 1 of 4, for example. So that is an example of our page header. Now there's different sections that we can add to the treatment report templates. We have heading sections, text sections, what's called a treatment progress section. This is where you can pull in information about the client's programs. We'll get into that in just a second. You can pull in any of the custom insights charts that you have set up under the client's progress tab. You can add a signature block, and you can add in page breaks. So let's talk about the heading sections. It's very simple. All it is text. So this is just a heading for a particular section within your report. So if you want to, show the different assessments, behavioral support strategies, those are all the various headers within that report. And then we have the text sections. So the text sections are fairly straightforward. You can choose the style. So if you want it to be a heading 2 is going to just be smaller than heading 1 or title, for example. But you can choose the style of the heading for that section. And then you can include tables, you can include images. And the really cool piece is, of course, the dynamic fields. So we can pull in the dynamic fields for the client. So if you have just those basic information fields, and then the ones that you have set up as custom client data fields. So if we wanted to add one for diagnosis, we can add that right there. Now what's going to happen when I go to generate this report for an individual learner, it's going to pull in all of this information that is on their client information tab. So same thing here for general information. I've got a general information field that I can add. And then I'm not going to have to recreate this every single time I write this report. So there we go. And now, even if that's a whole paragraph's worth of information, that's going to generate when I go to run this for that particular learner. Let's talk about our progress sections here. So treatment progress section, this one is specifically set up for skill acquisition goals. So we have the heading titled skill acquisition goals. You can also choose to show subheadings that would outline those treatment areas. So remember, we talked about setting up those treatment areas. That's where this would come in. So within this section, it's going to show skill acquisition goals, and it's going to organize them by the specific treatment area. Now, the way that you get only skill acquisition goals to pull into this section is by your tags. So we have program filters here. There are 2 options. We can add a status filter or the tag filter. So if I click this tags filter, we can choose that we want to pull in all the programs that have a specific tag or do not have a specific tag. So if I just want to exclude everything except for ABC, then we can do that. And then it's going to organize it by those treatment areas. So it's really up to you how you want to do this. Next, it's our status filter. So that's just going to pull in the programs by the current status that they're in. You can also choose to have a header for this section. These header sections within the treatment progress sections of the report have a little bit different functionality than the rest of them. So for these dynamic fields, we also can include those program fields. So it's going to start like baseline objective. You can also put like the treatment areas, program name, and then any of those like custom fields that you create, as well as like the baseline date, the active date, the close date, all of that good stuff. Now, the next piece of this is, of course, the progress graphs. So this will show the program progress graph for that particular program. There's a few settings here. You can make it be colorful or it can be black and white. You can choose to add a chart title. If you copy this program name right here, then you can pull in the actual program name onto the graph itself. You can disable grid lines if you want to. And then if you also want to include specific target information, you'll toggle on Table with a list of targets. If you'd like to include target-specific graphs, you would toggle on your target progress graph, and you would set filters for either the status of those particular targets, introduction or mastery date, and you can also select to exclude any sort of sub-targets. If you don't have this checked on, it will include all of the sub-targets. So if you have a set of targets or a TA. We can also add different columns to this table. So if you want to include the SD, the status, number of sessions to mastery, then that will all be included in the table. So we'll just do a couple right there. And now what we're going to see is we're going to see the overall program progress graph for that selected report period when we generate the report. And then we're going to see a table with your targets, and we're going to see the target graph for each of those targets as well. Now, a couple of other sections that we haven't talked about yet. So we can also add to the report, and when you add a section, it's going to pop it to the very end of the report for you. We're going to do a custom insights chart. Now, the custom insights chart, there's no filters or anything like that you can set on it. You're simply just going to include the insights chart that you have set up for that learner. So in this case, I'm just going to choose occurrences per target. So all it's going to do is just show a graph for me, and then I'll add, a section header for this particular section. The other thing that we can add here is a signature. So if I want to get a parent signature, one thing to note is that we cannot send them a signature request. It has to be done in person. So you would actually pull up this report and you would have them sign off on it on a signature block. But if you want the clinician or a supervising clinician or like a clinical director or something to sign off on the reports as well, then you can include that on your report template. So the other thing that we can do here is before we even make this available to be used, we can preview it. So I'm just going to select Save in Preview, and it's automatically going to preview for the learner that I'm currently on. So Bennett, who is our test client here, we can see here we've got this header that I have included. This is only going to show up, of course, when I actually export it. It's going to show the page, the current page and the page count. So it just says those words right now. We've got all those dynamic fields that we're pulling in. You can see that general information field that we included. As we scroll down, we can see the skill acquisition section. So if I show this graph, you can see this is the overall program graph. And then we've got our table of targets with each of the targets and the information that we chose to include. And I can show the specific target graph as well. So, and you can adjust those filters to whatever you want it to be. It will default to the report period to start off with. And then if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, we can see the insights graph that we wanted to pull in. So occurrences per target for behavior reduction. And then this is what that signature block is going to look like. So you just have to sign it. I'll click Save, even though this is not an actual report. And I'll just go ahead and save my changes here. And that concludes setting up a treatment report template for your organization. We have some more great videos on the knowledge base about all of the specifics around generating a report for a specific client. So please check those out.